You are moving the flock again. That is all you are doing. Moving the flock, watching the rock, counting the same sparse patches of dry grass you have counted 1,000 mornings before this one. The sheep know this mountain better than you do at this point. They find the moisture-holding crevices without being led. Horeb does not change. That is why you come here. You are not thinking. You have gotten very good at not thinking. The staff in your hand is Jethro's. The flock is Jethro's. The name they call you in this valley is a version of yourself you assembled from borrowed parts in a foreign country. You had another name once, in another language, spoken in rooms with painted ceilings and linen floors. That name belongs to a man who no longer exists, and you killed him yourself long before you killed the Egyptian. The Egyptian. You don't think about that either. 40 years is a long time to practice not thinking about things. You have become extraordinarily skilled at it. You know the precise depth of silence required to let a morning pass without the body under the sand surfacing in your mind. You know exactly how much physical labor it takes to make a man too tired to remember who he was. You named your own son Gershom, stranger there, because even your grief for what you lost, you turned into linguistics rather than feeling. You made your displacement into a name and handed it to a child and called it honest. This is not peace. You know it is not peace. But it is sustainable. And for 40 years, sustainable has been enough. The light changes on the slope ahead. You notice it the way you notice everything now, not with urgency, just with the quiet assessment of a man trained to read terrain. There is a thorn bush 30 yards up the rock face, a dry and unremarkable thing, the kind that catches and burns in the afternoon heat and is ash before evening. It is burning. That is not unusual. What is unusual is that 1 minute passes, and then another, and the bush is still burning. The flame is full and alive, and orange against the bone-white rock, and nothing is being consumed. No branch darkens, no leaf curls. The fire is burning without eating, and it has been burning long enough that you have stopped walking. You stand and watch it for a long time. Then you turn aside to look. That turning is the whole story. God, according to what tradition records, waits to see if you will notice. You do. And the moment your feet change direction toward the bush, the voice comes. Moses. It says your name twice. The repetition is not urgency. It is the tone of someone who has been watching you for a very long time and has finally decided the moment has arrived. You answer, because what else do you do when something calls your name from inside a fire that is not burning? And then the voice tells you to stop moving. Take off your sandals. The ground you are standing on is holy. Your sandals come off. Your feet touch the stone. The rock is warm from the morning sun, rough-grained, ordinary. It does not feel different. Holy ground, you will learn, does not announce itself through sensation. It requires you to be told. That is the first unsettling thing. The second is the name. The God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Your ancestors. Which means this is not a Midianite phenomenon, not a geological event, not something you can file away under the unknowable and forget by nightfall. This is the God of the people you left in Egypt. This is the God of the slaves you watched from palace windows and then abandoned. This is personal in a way that the next 40 years of your life will not be large enough to fully contain. You hide your face. The text says so. You are afraid to look at God. But underneath the fear is something older and heavier. You are ashamed. You ran. You have been gone so long that your people's children have grown up and had children of their own in the mud and the brick. You know what you did. You know what you failed to do afterward. And now the God of all of it is speaking to you from a fire that will not go out, on a mountain you came to because it was the farthest point from everything you ruined. God tells you He has seen the affliction. He has heard the crying. He knows the suffering. The word used, according to the text, is intimate, the way you know a wound by pressing it with your thumb. And then the sentence arrives that dismantles everything you have spent 40 years constructing. I am sending you to Pharaoh. Not, I will send a deliverer. Not, someone will come. You, the fugitive. The man with blood under his fingernails and a body buried in Egyptian sand. The man who just spent 4 decades perfecting the art of not mattering. You. The scale of what is being asked lands on you all at once. Hundreds of thousands of people. Generations of bondage. The most powerful empire on earth, and the man standing at its throne is the son of the man who put a death warrant on your head the last time you were in that country. You are one man with a borrowed staff and bare feet on a mountain in Midian. And God is saying, go. Your first objection comes out immediately. Who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh? It is a genuine question. You are not performing humility. You are stating what you believe to be an obvious logistical problem. You are nobody. You are a shepherd who tends someone else's flock on the far side of the wilderness. Whatever you once were has been dissolved by 4 decades of careful erasure. God's answer does not address the question, I will be with you. That is the entirety of it. Not, you are more capable than you think. Not, your past has prepared you for this. Just, I will be with you. The question of who you are, the answer implies, is not the relevant variable. You ask the wrong question entirely. So you ask another one. What do I tell them when they ask your name? And God says, I am who I am. Tell them, I am sent you. You stand there holding that answer. It is not a name in any ordinary sense. It is existence itself refusing to be reduced to a category. It is the most untranslatable statement ever made, and you are supposed to carry it into the most fortified court in the known world and say it out loud. Then comes the question of belief. What if they don't believe me? 3 signs are given in response. Your staff hits the ground and becomes a serpent. You pick it up by the tail and it becomes a staff again. Your hand goes into your cloak and comes out white as bone with disease. It goes back in and comes out clean. You are told that if neither sign convinces them, you will pour Nile water on dry ground, and it will become blood. Power is placed in the hands of the most reluctant man on the mountain, and still you push back. You have not given up yet. You say you are not eloquent, that you are slow of speech and slow of tongue. In the palace, you were educated in the full vocabulary of empire. Now you say the words don't come. 40 years of exile have done something to a voice that once had access to every room. God's response is not gentle. Who made your mouth? Who makes a man able to speak or unable? Go, and I will be with your mouth. He gives you Aaron, your brother, still alive, still in Egypt, as a mouthpiece. You get a concession. It feels like relief. It will later prove to be a complication you did not anticipate. Your 5th and final objection is the most honest thing you have said in 40 years. Please, send someone else. No theology, no logistics, just, not me. The text says, God's anger burns. The same root word, the same fire, different direction. Not because you are unworthy. God already knows everything you have done and has chosen you anyway. The anger comes because you are refusing to become what you already are. You have done everything possible to make yourself small, and the creator of everything that exists is standing in a burning bush telling you that the smallness is not real, and you are still arguing for it. You go back to Jethro and say only that you want to return to Egypt to see if your kinsmen are still living. You say nothing about the bush, nothing about the voice, nothing about the commission. Jethro releases you with a blessing, and you leave with your wife and sons, the staff of God in your hand, and a silence in your chest that has no name yet. But on the road back toward Egypt, something happens that most people skip over. God meets you and moves against you. The text is blunt about this, cryptic about the cause, and the crisis is resolved only when your wife Zipporah takes a flint and performs the circumcision you had left undone, pressing the evidence of the covenant against your feet, her voice shaking as she says, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me." You thought the burning bush was the hard part. The burning bush was the invitation. The road is what the mission actually costs, not just your words, your whole household, your unfinished promises, every obligation you deferred in the comfort of your constructed smallness. The covenant does not wait for you to feel ready. It simply insists. Aaron meets you in the wilderness exactly where God said he would. You tell your brother everything. Together you walk into Egypt and gather the elders, and Aaron speaks while you stand beside him holding the staff, and the signs are shown, and the people believe. They bow when they hear that God has seen their affliction and remembered his covenant. You did not free them yet. You have not faced Pharaoh. You have not spoken 10 plagues into existence, or held a staff over a sea, or climbed a mountain to receive law written in stone. All of that is ahead of you. What happens in this moment is smaller and somehow larger. The people see that someone came back. That is the miracle at this stage. Not the staff, not the water turned to blood. Someone who ran looked over their shoulder 40 years later and came back. The burning bush will never fully go out for you. Not after the Red Sea closes over Pharaoh's army. Not after the golden calf. Not after you strike the rock in anger, and God tells you that you will not enter the land you led your people toward for 4 decades. The fire simply moves. It burns in the pillar above the camp at night. It burns in the words carved on the tablets you carry down from the mountain. It burns in the face of every person who asks you where you came from, and you have to decide, again, whether you are the man who ran or the man who turned aside. You never fully stop asking yourself if you were the right choice. That too is recorded. What the bush was actually burning away was never the thornwood. It was the 40 years of careful, practiced, sustainable smallness. And the fire started the moment you decided to turn aside and look. The burning bush has been burning for 3,000 years. It has never asked whether you are ready. It has only ever asked whether you will turn aside. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.